Okay guys, we are going to try a chicken crust pizza, no carb pizza, bariatric pizza. I got this off of the bariatric eating website, and so I thought we would try it. I've heard it had good reviews, so we'll try. So what we're going to need, we need a pizza pan lined with parchment paper, sprayed with nonstick oil, which I have. We need a half a cup total of Parmesan cheese, but it needs to be kind of divided. So I went ahead and divided it. And we need a 1/4 cup of mozzarella and then 3/4 cups of mozzarella. And then we need a half a cup of the marinara sauce, some sea salt, some oregano, some crushed red pepper, and some garlic powder, and some black pepper, and we're going to need some cling wrap. Now, the recipe didn't call for this, but this is just one of those bell pepper and onion blends, and I'm going to saute these on the oven, on the top of the stove real good while our crust is cooking, so we can put this on top of the pizza, because we like supreme pizza, and it's vegetables, so. And it also calls for a topping. I've got this pepperoni, so that's what I'm going to use. And here is the ground chicken that we got from Walmart. We got it already ground, but then Keith went ahead in the food processor and ground it again just to make sure it was real good and fine. So that's what we're going to need, and we'll get started. Okay, it says to start with is to preheat oven to 450 degrees. In the comments, I did read, one person said the trick to this pizza for it to work and taste the best is to have a really, really hot oven. So what I did is I have preheated my oven to 500 degrees. And then when I get ready to put my crust in the oven, I'm going to turn it down then at that time to 450. Because they said if you don't, well, they didn't say to do that. They said if you don't have a real hot oven, that the chicken will steam instead of the browning, and we want browning. So now let's get on with the recipe. It says in a medium bowl that we're going to combine the chicken. So we're going to add the chicken to this bowl. And I have got clean hands, so I am going to do this with the hands because it just, to me, it gets incorporated better. That's what God gave us hands for. And then also it says to add a 1/4 cup of the Parmesan. So they're going to add the 1/4 cup of Parmesan. And it says to add the 1/4 cup of mozzarella. There's the 1/4 cup of mozzarella. And a half a teaspoon of salt. I am going to just eye this. And it also says a 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper, which I have right here. Well, this hasn't even ever been opened, so I need to open it. So, not that much. And it says a half a teaspoon of garlic powder. We like garlic, so I'm going to go ahead and put like a teaspoon. And it also says a half a teaspoon of oregano. So here we got the oregano. There's about a half a teaspoon. And I will have this recipe either linked below, or I'll put it up on my blog so you can go to it so you can print it off too. Or I'll just give you, I'll tell you what, or nothing else, I'll just give you the link to the website where I got this from. Okay, and then we're supposed to mix all this together. I'm going to just use my hand. That way I can make sure everything and all the spices gets real good and incorporated all the way through it. I'm only using one. Okay, and then it says, okay, I'm going to move this stuff kind of around. I'm going to move my pan closer up here so you can see. My assistant is asleep in the chair. Can you believe that? Okay, so it says to mound this in on the parchment paper. So there we go. We got it mounted. It said the next step was to kind of mount it, pat it down. Let's see if I can get this down a little before. And I did that, and then it said to cover with saran wrap. And that's what I have done. And then it says to evenly press or roll the chicken into a 7 by 10 inch rectangle or round. The recipe said that she used a rolling pin. And then we'll remove the plastic wrap and roast until golden, 12 to 15 minutes in the oven. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to roll this out. And try making it even all the way around. Good thing I have plastic wrap on here. I didn't show y'all putting the plastic wrap because I don't know about y'all, but I am awful when it comes to doing plastic wrap because it always seems to either not come off the container good or what. Like I said, I'm just trying to make sure this is probably not going to be a pizza looking perfect pizza because I am not used to, this is my first time to do this recipe. So we're testing this out together. And they didn't say, I'm going to kind of go around here the edges of this plastic wrap and bring everything in just to make sure we get everything pressed out good. Because I'm sure we want it good and even so it will cook even. Okay, I think that's pretty round to me. It looks round to me. So, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead. So, I'm going to go ahead and lower the oven to 450, and then I'm going to put this in the oven for 12 to 15 minutes. But first, I got to remember, we got to take off the plastic wrap. That would be a pretty picture in the oven. Okay, and that's what it looks like. It's good so far. Okay, so while we got the crust cooking in the oven, I'm going to go ahead. I got my pan heating up here. I'm going to add just a little bit of olive oil, not a whole lot. And then I'm going to add probably, that should be plenty for a pizza. Because I know Keith, when we get pizza, we always get the supreme. But we're only going to have one meat, which is that pepperoni. So we're going to just heat this up and get these real good, and so they're golden brown, and so when they cook, they won't put out any more water onto the pizza because they're frozen. And we'll go from there. Okay, y'all, this is the crust. And what I did, I cooked it for 15 minutes. Then it had just a little bit of juices around the end, not a lot. So I carefully drained that juice, a little bit of juice off. Then I put it back in the oven for 3 minutes. So this is cooked so far a total of 18 minutes. And so now the recipe says to smear the crust with salt, with the sauce. So I'm going to pour the sauce on here. And I went ahead and got my little brush here. I'm just going to smear it around on the crust. Oh, this smells wonderful. I hope it tastes as good as it smells. And can you pizza with no carbs? That'd be wonderful. That'd be wonderful. Okay. I'm going to get it all the way to the ends here. Okay, and then it says scatter with, I'm going to put this over there. Scatter with 1/4 of the cup of Parmesan that we had. So I'm going to scatter it over it. Okay. And then it says with the rest of the mozzarella. So we're going to put the rest of the mozzarella on here, which is 3/4 of a cup. Okay, so there's the cheese. And then it says to layer with toppings, which the first thing I'm going to layer with is, if you remember, I told you what I was going to do with the peppers and the onions, and that's what I did. So, and they've been soaking in this, and I put them inside that this paper towel to make sure that they had all the moisture out of them. And I'm going to sprinkle them around on the pizza. Did y'all hear my assistant finally woke up and going out the door? I think he enjoyed why I went to got my hair done. He got to rest in peace. Okay, so now we got our peppers on there, the onions. Now we're going, it says to layer with toppings. I'm using this little pepperoni I got from the Dollar Tree. It's very thin slice, which is what you really want. Since you're trying to go easy on the carbs, you definitely don't want to make it with it with any kind of the fat. So I'm just gonna, and whatever we're left with, we can make a sandwich out of. So that's what, and I'm gonna have some left. So I put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pieces on there, and then it says, well, I'll do it, but this is against my judgment here, because I usually don't do spice too well, but I'll go ahead. It says to sprinkle a little bit of the chopped crushed red pepper. And also it says like with some oregano, so we'll go ahead and do what it says. There we go. Now it says to put it back in the oven for 6 to 10 minutes. And then it should be bubbly and ready. So let's go on back in the oven. I'll be back in 6 to 10 minutes. Okay, y'all, I just took this out of the oven. How delicious does that look? Can you believe there is no carbs in here? That crust, I would never know it was a chicken crust made out of chicken. I would never know it. Now, we just got to let it cool down for a little while, before we try to taste it. And then we'll get Keith, our taste tester, to taste it. And I'll taste it too. Okay, Keith is fixing to taste it for us. Is it good or? Just a minute and I'll taste it. It is. Oh gosh, y'all. You would never know that crust is made of chicken. It's wonderful and no carbs.